All right, hi. I'm back for our next update on first year medical school. My name's Chris, in case y'all have forgotten that from last week. Anyway, the big topics this week in y'all's questions is about studying, study tips in general, studying in high school, studying in college, and studying in medical school. I guess the main big thing that I wanted to know about was making that transition between the three levels and how that plays out and how you figure out what works well for you studying. So let's go ahead and get started with that. And then, as always, we'll do the joke of the week at the very end. So stay tuned for that. All right. So first off is high school. The thing is with high school is I didn't really do a whole lot of studying in high school. I kind of felt like high school was kind of a joke. You just kind of show up and kind of maybe study a little bit on the weekend before a test, maybe for 20, 30 minutes before an exam or something like that, and then you just go take the exam and that's about it. So studying in high school just felt like a complete joke, especially in comparison with college and definitely in comparison with medical school. But still, if you're in high school, it still can be a challenge and still something you're worried about. So I'll give you a few study tips for that, and then we'll move on to college and then medical school. So the first big thing to remember if you're in high school is that that's the basis level, and what you're trying to do there is you're trying to get into college. The thing with high school that might work well for you is just maybe an adaptation or a different way of doing the same thing that I do studying. And what I mean by that is that a good thing to start out doing is possibly asking your teacher right before a test, if you have a review session right before an exam or something like that. Asking them, what exactly are the main things you want us to focus on? Usually it'll be the things that the teacher said in class are usually the big things you need to focus on. Two, reading your book. Reading your book in high school is a good idea. They give them to you for a reason, and the teachers probably expect you to read your book. A third thing to do is go over any questions that you can come up with on the material. Maybe quiz yourself and some friends if that works well for you. If you're not a good group studier, then don't do it. It'll probably cause you more harm than good. But just figure out the way you study best for each class. But the big thing again on those is one, read your book. Two, ask your teacher what they think is important out of the different chapters and what they think they would like you to focus on. And another one that I didn't mention is taking notes. Take some notes in class when you're sitting down and maybe the teacher says something more than one time. It can mean that the teacher's trying to emphasize something to you. They repeat it more than one time. So those are some good ones for high school. Again, that's read your textbooks, um, then pay attention in class and take some notes, and maybe if you still have some questions, ask the teacher what they would like you to focus on. And that's about it for high school. High school, the big thing in high school is doing some extracurricular activities, um, studying well for your ACT or SAT, and doing well so you can get into college. And once you get into college, when you're in high school, to be quite honest, no one really cares anymore after you get into college. You can have a terrible high school career. Once you get into college, no one really cares anymore. That's all over with. Just as long as you get in. And that shouldn't be a hard thing to do, especially with all the smaller schools everywhere and just all the schools in general. I'm sure you're going to do well. If you're looking for study tips, you're already on the right track doing well. You see that you have a need and you're trying to fix that need. Okay, so the next thing is college study tips. So the transition from me into college from high school and figuring out how to study and that kind of stuff, having not really ever been a big studier before, was a bit of a challenge. And a few things that I found over just different trial and error type periods with college is that that's basically the way that I had to do it, which is for each class, come up with a new plan for what you're going to do. In college you have the different exams, and usually you have some quizzes along the way in the classes, and usually the quizzes are a good example or a good indication of how you're going to do in exams. So what I would do is I would start out the semester in all my classes, and I would try studying the same way that I did the semester before, and then tweak it a little bit until I found that it worked. Do some things, make flashcards for one class, maybe don't make them for another class if it doesn't work. Just different things like that. Another big thing about college that I found that worked really well is getting ahead. Actually works really well. What I would do in college, and this was my thing that I did every single weekend, I would go to the library Friday afternoon, study a little bit, make sure I'm good with all the stuff I did for the week. The next day on Saturday, I would go to the library again. When the library opened up at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, whenever I was in the library, I would go over everything and do all the homework for the next week. Monday through Friday, all the homework for the next week. That way, whenever reading all the chapters and everything. That way, whenever that next week rolled around, day to day, I could just do the homework or read up on what we did that day and just study day to day. But I was caught up. I was always 5 days ahead. I was always an entire week ahead. Every Monday morning when I went to class at 9 a.m., I was always a week ahead. That might be a good thing that you can try to do. It works. It's a lot of work at first, but once you get into the habit of doing it, it just comes really easy. And it takes about a day and a half of good solid studying and work, but then it pays off in the end, because then you don't have to go to the library and stay at the library until 11, 12 o'clock every night of the week. You do it twice a week, and then that's it from there. Another big thing to do is that read your textbooks in college. That's a big, important thing. The teachers are going to want you to read the textbooks. They assign those textbooks for a reason. But even more important than that is pay attention in the lecture to what they put on the PowerPoint. The textbooks are important, but the PowerPoints are even more important. When it comes down to it, if you get crunched for time, just go to the PowerPoints. So, the thing with the PowerPoints is if the teacher's taking the time to put something from the PowerPoint or from the chapter into the PowerPoint and make a slide about it and talk about it in class, then it's pretty important. It's probably going to be on an exam, and you probably need to understand it. So again, for college, the big thing is you might want to get ahead. Try it if you can. Give it a go. If it doesn't, then find something else that works for you. Read your textbooks, but more importantly, read your PowerPoints and focus on what the teacher says in class. Another big thing that I found with medical school that I've never tried before, but it definitely works, is, and this brings me to my next topic here, that no one's the same kind of learner. We're all different. There's basically just a few major big types of learning styles. There's auditory, where as it sounds, you just hear things and you learn better that way. There's people that are visual. They have to see things worked out on a board. They have to watch something. There's kinetic learners, where you have to do something with your hands, or you have to either figure something out on paper or maybe like put something together like an anatomy lab, if you know, stuff like that. And then there's people that are just good at reading things and stuff like that and coming up with it that way. Usually, typically, we're not all the same, and we're not all just one of those things. For example, I'm a little mix of auditory, visual, and kinetic. I had to do all three of those things to get something down. So what I usually do studying for medical school is that I'll watch the lectures either in class or online. I will then take some notes as the lecture is going along, so that's the kinetic part of it. And then I will walk myself through it verbally the whole entire lecture, making sure I hit all the key points and can do everything. So that's some of the study tips that I have for that. So find out which one works well for you and play around with it. You have plenty of time during the beginning of a semester to play around with some study ideas and come up with what works well for you. And once you find what works well for you in that class, stick with it. That's about it for what I have. If you have any more questions or want me to elaborate on any of that, I know that was a bit of material. Just let me know. So in this last few minutes or a few seconds here, because we're right at 9 minutes, I'm going to give you the question of the day. So, or not the question of the day, the joke of the day. All right. So ready? Here's the joke of the day. What did one scalpel say to the other? You look sharp today. All right. That's it. All right. Y'all have a good week. I will catch y'all up after the test is over with. Wish me luck. All right. And as always, best luck to y'all. All right, bye.